Okay, good morning. A little bit of a later start than normal. Had other things to do. Other things to do this morning, including a little bit of shopping. Wanted to avoid doing some Amazon shopping, and I figured somewhere local might have something what I need. And had a little bit of an issue with drill bits, so I picked up some at the local store. And the last time I was trying to do this situation with drilling these hands out, and it was very, very difficult finding ones that either were small enough or didn't break. So hopefully we'll have that situation solved and go from there. Now, I did pick up a couple of different drill bit sets. One of them was, of course, we don't need the big ones. Just these smaller ones. There's several of them in there. And these actually look pretty good because there's some kind of carbide or whatever. Chinese carbide. Unfortunately, both of these things are made in China, of course. They made it through the embargo. So the problem is the shank on this. I don't think I've got a tool. Of all the tools that I have, I've got ones that'll work like almost an X-Acto knife. I've got this one. I think all of them are going to be too big for this shank. And if you go to the other end, this one's too large. This one's too large, and I don't think this one's big enough. So, see how much this opens up. I don't think I can take this thing any bigger. So I may actually have to get a tool from Amazon or Home Depot or something like that, because this doesn't have anything I can take out of it. No. Yeah, I've got several of these ones that are large, but they're too large. I got all kinds of stuff, but none of the right thing. Now, realistically, I could probably, these are older than dirt. I haven't used these in, I don't know, 20 years probably. I could probably just use them like this and not even drill them out. But let's not even open this yet. Let's see what we're dealing with the smaller pack, because these will work just fine in what I have. Because I actually needed one smaller than this one. And so let's take an X-Acto knife. I gotta be careful down here. I got like a murder scene with. It gives you several of these ones that are really small. And that's, of course, the ones we're interested in. Let's just put this off to the side. If these work out, I'm going to get more, because it looks like all of these do not have a square front, which is the problem with all the other ones. All these small bits that I got a while ago have all flat fronts. So they won't even dig into the material. They won't even dig into the material. So let's take all these larger bits that we have no use for. Not for this stuff anyways. And just move them off to the side. I don't want them to contaminate the area. Even this one's too big. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in this one or this one. Once we start getting into this size, well, I gotta take my jewelry off. Yeah, we just came from going out. I had to go do the old oil change on the car, so I stopped by the hardware store on the way back. So, well, now I lost which one I was using. Well, it's fine because we've got plenty of small ones here, especially something like this. This is like perfect. So I may not even use those other ones. I'll just return them. I don't need to buy a shank for the pin vise. You know, I like supporting the local stores. I just don't like dealing with the people that are at them. I went to the local store and I said, "Hey, you guys have a pin vise here?" Figuring if they've got, these type of things, they could use a pin vise for it. And it's like, "Yeah, it's over on aisle 1," and that was regular vices. So they obviously didn't know what I was talking about. But all right, so we're gonna have a ton of these. I almost need to put these in a different place. Let's not fool around with that right now. Let's just move this stuff to the side. We're going to get the cavalry out here, and we're going to do a test run with this stuff on the cavalry, and just see how these work, and then I can recommend them to you if they do. All right. They were really inexpensive. I mean, this was like $3. I think it was $2.99. So. You could get them on Amazon, but they cost, 3 times more. It wasn't to save money. I just wanted them today to fool around with. All right, so cavalry. Let's grab the cavalry that we've already set aside for the Byzantines and pull these guys out. It should be these guys right here. Now, these cavalry is a mixture of Old Glory and Elaine Tulare. If you don't know what army I'm working on, well, the flags of it are right back down there in the corner. And if you still don't know what army I'm working on, well, it's the Byzantines, by God. Let's pull all this stuff out here. I really want to see how this turns out. Now, let's do a couple things. Let's get, this is an old X-Acto blade that I have. Let's grab a newer one. Put this one aside. And because we're going to use that still, we're going to use a regular X-Acto blade to do the pilot. Calling it a pilot hole is probably inaccurate. The starter thing on it. Okay? And, yeah. Okay. So, let's get the horses out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Does that mean there's no way there's 24 figures in here. There's no way I have 24 Lancers. That's like impossible. What's this guy? This is the command pack, maybe? I got to resolve all this again. All right, let's take a look at what we got. These are the commander options. So we've got this pose. All these guys will have their lances replaced. I don't mind drilling out hands. I've just had one hell of a time trying to find something that will work, because these guys are okay. These Old Glory guys, I mean, they are square. They're pretty stiff lances, but you can see they're flat-sided on this side, and they're thin here. So they're almost like, if they were this size on the front, it would be okay, but you turn them sideways, and they're twice as wide. So it's almost like they're carrying a 1x2. Not really a 2x4, more like a 1x2. Let's take a look at what we got here. These guys are all the same pose. These guys are all the same pose. This is an odd guy out. Here's another the same pose. These are all the Elaine Tulare figures. These are all the same pose here. We've got those two. We've got this one. And we've got this one. So how many guys is that? Should be divided by 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is for 4 stands of cavalry. And the army actually can have quite a bit more than that. We've got one for the command stand. Is there any cavalry left? I think there is. This is light horse. And maybe all the cavalry that I have. It looks that way. Okay. So let's lop one of these things off and start from there. We're going to start off with let's start with the Elaine Tulare guys off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, So there's 3 other guys. This is the command. Yeah, okay. This guy's half bent anyway, so let's just take his off. And these are old school lead style castings, so they're extremely bendy. And these figures are no longer available anymore, unfortunately. The sculptor caster was a one-man operation. He passed away, I think, like 6 years ago or something like that. Mr. Harvey, welcome. Good afternoon. I shall take a break from watching your Hannibal miniseries to chat. Well, the nice thing about the Hannibal miniseries is, unlike the previous one that was 5 battles that took almost 6 hours, this one was 4 battles that took just over 2. So the tactical puzzles weren't as demanding. So let's clean the flash off this guy. So we just did that last night and it uploaded without any problem overnight. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy them. More reasonable length. Okay, so let's create a pilot hole here. I like to kind of do this in the middle. It's easier to just start it off with the X-Acto knife. Just a little divot there for it to grab. And then we'll see what the heck these, we'll see how good these drill bits are. And let's go with this one. They're not, the front of them is not flat. So that is good. And in case you guys didn't know, and I'm not saying for you specifically, Harvey, but I was surprised somebody didn't know this, was that you can use an X-Acto knife thing as a pin vise. If your thing is small enough. You know, these smaller things. I've got one that's a dedicated pin vise, so we'll see. I hope these guys work. If they do, I'm going to probably stock up on them because, unfortunately, these things break relatively easy. And I don't mind replacing lances at all because once you replace them, you never have to worry about them again. Something has to really go sideways for you to replace one. Let's just put this right in the middle. Tighten it down. All right, let's go easy on it. It should be relatively easy because this is a soft alloy. And it's already biting. And we'll just draw all these guys out right now. Because I've got maybe an hour or something like that to do. I could probably knock all this out in an hour. I'm guessing. Let's put this here. I don't want to mess up my cutting board. I'm real anal retentive about that, and I didn't even buy it. Okay, now we've got that deep enough. Let me see if... Well, you know what? I'm going to leave it at this thickness because I'm not sure what size lance we're going to use yet. And I'd rather it be a tight fit than not. Although this is already binding a little bit. Hey, this is all this stuff is non-edited, so let's do a couple things. Let's grab the other X-Acto knife blade that is older than dirt that I just pulled out of a place it should not have been, and put another size drill bit in there. Let's go up to the next size up. That way I don't have to switch out. All right, let's put the bigger one in now. Here we go. The other drilling that I did the other night was it was taking way too long. And I'm not necessarily an impatient person, but it's like, you know, breaking bits and stuff like that isn't my idea of a good time. There he is. Let's clean this up. Okay, one down. Let's just do all the Elaine guys first. Elaine Toulier. These guys were marketed as Komnenen Byzantine. And they fit the bill. I have some feudal Spanish from him to do that I picked up a while ago. Feudal Spanish for early 1200s. My biggest gripe is that they're just a soft alloy. They're old school, you know, lead, so to speak. But if you drill out the spears, the rest is no problem. I think that's what we're going to do. To kind of do this assembly, we're going to go ahead and mark the hole. Start it off with this size drill bit, because this is the one that's going to break. Well, they make it all break, but and then use the bigger one. Now that we've got something, let the big one do the work. You don't want to put too much pressure on it because you will bend that hand, and then you'll have to bend it back into the spot where it is. And in doing so, you're putting stresses on that arm, and eventually it will break. So I sometimes like to say, like, brace it. You know, you can move this thing out a little bit. Brace the arm like so. So you've got some resistance behind it. I always wanted a Dremel tool, but I don't really have much of a use for it. So Harvey, did you see that the mystery of the dogs was solved? Somebody had asked me, Patty Green had asked, well, lots of people had asked me, but Patty Green most recently had asked me who made the dogs for the Odago in my medieval Irish army. And I say that because I think you're part Irish to some degree. If you're not, well, I didn't mean to offend you. I've got no problems with the Irish. I've got no problems with people from any country. People are there's sorry people from every country. But anyhow, I digress. Couldn't figure out who the dog was made by, and Thistle and Rose. The owner of Thistle and Rose, the current owner of Thistle and Rose chimed in. So I must have picked up that figure along with the rude peasants and stuff like that I have from Thistle and Rose. They were giving those figures away at Historicon. I want to say 2016, maybe 2017, and you know, what came in really handy. It's really handy to travel with someone that doesn't paint, because they gave him, like, every game that you participated in, they gave you like some figures, not a bunch, like 8 or 9 or something like that. So I got Mitch's figures too, and in so doing, one of them had that dog, and that was the dog that I thought it was from a flea market. I was mistaken. It was a giveaway from Thistle and Rose. So I'm going to contact them and see if they don't have a less archaic way to order figures from them, because it's very difficult to order. They're kind of doing that business as a kind of a side business. The owner is semi or fully retired. I think he's actually fully retired, but he doesn't want to infringe on his retirement duties or relaxation to run a full-time business. So he's kind of doing it still on the side. But the dog pack actually comes with apparently 3 different dogs. This one being the medium-sized one. They have a larger one and a little puppy dog. And they're all the furry style. So anyways, that was nice to find out that that's exactly who made it. But because the styling was almost like Games Workshop looking. Correct. Your mum came from Ireland. I lived there a number of years. I can't believe they drive on the English side. I would have thought that that surprised me. That they would have done it on the French way. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be going to Europe anytime soon with the stuff that's happened the last 4 years. 3 years? I don't know. Oh well. You know what? I'd rather not go to Europe and be able to communicate with people from Europe in this way, in this fashion. I'm a lot happier that way. Hey, you can do your whole lifetime this way, and the other thing just lasts 2 weeks. So, come on, you can go through. There we go. Attaboy. 2. This is working extremely well, by the way, compared to how I was doing it before. Extremely well. I had a friend of mine growing up, wargamer friend of mine that I lost touch with. I found him a couple of years recently. He's now living in Pennsylvania. He's extremely, you know how difficult it is to track down somebody whose name is Mike O'Neill? It's damn near impossible. But I did track him down. And he's one of the people that I used to game with in my late teens. He used to live here in town. And he was full-blooded Irish. Well, he was American, but, you know, he's... a lot of people in the South don't know who they come from. They're kind of all over the place, or they're not in touch with that. The North's a little different. Most people in the South are kind of a smorgasbord of different things. We just have one break? We did. Mm-hmm. And the bad news is it's in there. All right. That's what I get for bragging. Things are going really well. Ah, you got bent. Not a big deal. Sometimes they drive on the right, sometimes in the middle, or their driving license is pretty much like poetic license. Yeah, I don't like disorder. Would be because they're having a brew while they're drinking, would it? There's parts of this country that are that way as well. I don't like going to those parts. I like organized and respect. All right. Let's go in the back door. I mean, let's do it from the bottom. I mean, oh, his foot's in the way. Let's bend that a little bit. I don't want to drill and find out that, hey, why isn't it going? Well, because the little remainder of that bit is in there. There we go. I think that's going to pop through the hand. All right, let's do this. Oh, it already went through. Ah, I made a hole in my cutting thing. Oh, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. Okay, that worked. It looked like it was going to pop through his hand. If it pops through his hand, it's not that big of a deal. You know, because when you put the epoxy in there, you can actually just mold it around, and you just have to paint like those fingers there or whatever. Okay, so he's done. Stay humble. Don't brag about how well things are going before the biggest grouping of gurts is in Pennsylvania. Oh. They don't ride carts, do they? They don't, not the Amish people riding carts. That was weird. I first saw that in 2006. And that's just very strange. It's even stranger, there was a younger couple that was walking down the road, you know, right by where cars were passing. And they were all dressed up like it was 1720. And not even how the cool kids dressed in 1720. But they had their modern sneakers on that didn't go with the rest of their getup, so. You can do whatever you want. That's not my thing. And you lost me if you don't have air conditioning. I'm out. I'm not living without air conditioning. I can live without electricity, but no air conditioning. How's that work? Gotta live somewhere really cold. Okay, that's enough of that one. Put the bigger one in. So I'm gonna probably go and buy more of these because the tips of them aren't square. I'm gonna take all these square tip ones I have, throw them in the garbage. Or recycle them, or whatever you want to call them. Send them back to China, whatever. Because the square tips, they don't even grab at all. You're just spinning there the whole time. Okay. Let's trim this bottom a little bit. One guy left. That guy looks silly. It's hold a spear and nothing below it. Soft, soft alloy. You got to be careful how things are labeled. One of the first armies I painted is Koguryo Korean. That's what they were marketed as. And that's what they're marketed on the Elaine Tuller site. That's the first thing I came in contact with. One of our vendors at our show would buy army packs, and then we would create DBA armies from them and then sell them at the show. So I have a Koguryo Korean army. And after I get the army painted and everything, you know, for 2.2, after I get the whole army painted and everything, I find out that, oh yeah, those actually is not what the Koguryos used to look like. It's more like a Koryo army. So I was like, well, tough. The 3.0 list is so different, you know, no big deal. Mr. Shevlin, hope all is well. Looking forward to watching the Hannibal and Africa battles. Yeah, and luckily they're not 6 hours long. Really have prolonged temperatures that warrant aircon, especially in Ireland. Really enjoy the series, although some of the scenarios are really tough. Some of the scenarios I never want to play again. They're painful. The one with the scaling ladders, I don't want to play either side in that one. And I think the other side was worse. Wait till you see the Zama battle. The Zama battle I want to play again. It's interesting. Most of the battles are worth playing again. I think the ambush in the Alps is a good battle. Anyways, the best thing about those scenarios is, at least from my point is, there was a lot of artistic license, historical license that Connor had to take. And it's understandable because the details that we want aren't there. They just don't exist. So he took a fair amount of historical license in the makeup of some of these battles. And it gave me courage to do the same thing with other battles. So we, in the future, we're going to be creating our own battles. Now, I don't know how far along that's going to be, and it's going to have to do with the armies that we're painting. So there is an army that is being painted for Mitch right now. I'm not going to spoil anything because as soon as I tell you it's going to be painted and what it is, something will happen. Something will happen to the painter. But there is a battle that Mitch is having. There's an army that Mitch is having painted right now, and when it gets done, we're going to do some battles, some historical battles based around that. And then I'll probably do the same thing with the Byzantines because the Byzantines should be done by that time, and so forth. So that's the way forward. It encouraged me to just kind of wing it with some things because a lot of stuff just isn't known. So the important thing is that they create some interesting challenges and maybe give you the feeling of maybe what the commanders would have had to have historically in that situation. Not necessarily the exact specifics of where a hill was or what have you, because some stuff just is never going to be known. So, okay, that's the last Elaine two-layer guy. All right, now on to the old glories. I thought the Slave Legion was tough for the 2 pips to move. What made it tough is I rolled a bunch of 1s. So I don't know that game is as tough as it should have been. But it's all right. It just, like I said before, I think pips are more of a pain. Bad pips are worse than bad combat. You roll bad combat, the guy's dead, you don't have to worry about it anymore. If you have bad pips, you're sitting there trying to pull your hair out, trying to figure out how to make it work. Yeah, I like the historical scenarios too. Mitch and I have played 940 games of the standard game. I think we're okay, There's really no need to play any more of those on our own time. In other words, if it's just him and I, there's no point in playing any more of those. When we can create other stuff that'll be really cool. So, and there's an opportunity to change rules if you feel like it and test some other different things because it is not a standard game. So just like Connor did with the Auxilia, where they get side support and stuff like that, the solid Auxilia, you can do that in a campaign and not mess up in a historical scenario and not mess up how you run tournaments and stuff like that because it is just a special rule just for these scenarios. So it's an opportunity to try some other things out that we've been waiting for. Okay, now the old glories are a harder alloy for sure. All right, let's get this in the center spot. Aha! No, I didn't cut myself. Sorry to disappoint you. All right, let's do this. Why is this son of a bitch sliding? I'm overly protective of my cutting board, in case you couldn't tell. I think there's enough of that. go. And if I still need to make it bigger, well, then that's real easy to do. Because I'm not sure what lances I'm going to do just yet. And this is cavalry. It's going to double as cavalry and also knights in the later list. In Manuel's reforms. Whee! Okay, let's go find that won't be able to support this one. Is that who I think it is? It is. Welcome. Your icon looks totally different. Your little circle, it almost looks like snow. It's very, very white. That's who I figured it was. How are you doing? Anikaro. As opposed to Anikaru. I am doing wonderful. I don't think I'm going to mess with the other drill bits. I'll just return them. The other drill bits were like $8 anyways. I don't know if they'll work any bigger, any better. We'll just return them and buy more packs of these. There we go. Okay. And same thing, same pose, lop it off. Sound like a moil. Just lop it off. Just the tip. Take this part that's attached to the boot off. One thing I find on these figures is about useless as a file. It's not very useful. They just, no matter how small it is, it's always too large to get in where you need it to. I want the top of this to be flush. Let's put this in the center like so. Actually, this is going so much faster than it did the other day. The other day took forever to do those 8 spearmen. There's 8 Armenian spearmen. Do any of the guys have a Seljuk Turks army? So I have a ton of troops for Seljuk Turks, and Luke bought a Seljuk Turk army. So we have Seljuk Turks. Definitely. Kevin, welcome. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Saturdays are almost always happy. Yes, indeed, Rick. More or less okay. Thanks. Lately discovered BattleTech. Now my hobby plans suddenly shifted. The BattleTech game on computer is excellent. It's made by... don't know who it is, but it's on Steam. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful game. So, It's a wonderful game. I haven't played it in a little bit, but no reason to paint miniatures for that if I can play it on the computer. And it's turn-based. So it's not like you're rushing around from place to place on there. It's really well done. Looks right. And it's really affordable too. My tolerance for playing computer games, though, has kind of gone away. I can't sit there and play Total War and stuff like that. I just get bored. I'd rather do this. I'd rather talk to myself and get roll figures done. This comes off. This comes off. It's a surprisingly close recreation of the tabletop one. So apparently one of the designers of the original game is part of the team that played the computer one. And that's probably why. Yeah, it definitely scratches that itch. And it's really well done. Really well done. And looks good too. And it's relatively challenging. You know, computer games come in a couple different flavors, and one of the flavors is they're either turn-based or real-time. And real-time, the computer in turn-based, you have an advantage because you can outthink the computer most of the time. But the real-time, you get stressed out because you're running around going all over the place. Well, what are these guys doing over here? What's this guy doing over there? So then, you know, what do you want? A game that puts you to sleep and is calming, or one that stresses you out? You know. Two more to go after this guy. Oh, we'll do the command guys too, which we didn't pull out here. Happy Saturday. I have to go. Yep. Hopefully no honeydew list. Yeah, I wasn't able to get on here at my normal time. I should be able to tomorrow morning because I had to go take the car for PM. Preventative maintenance, fancy name for oil change. Had to go do that first thing. And we were invaded by a bunch of teenage girls last night, so they were laying all over the place in the other room, so I didn't want to be noisy. And I would have only been able to get on for like an hour, so I'm like, I'll just postpone it. We'll do this later. This guy kind of has that Essex pose of, I don't want to have anything to do with this lance. Looking one way and holding the lance out the other way. I hate that pose. I don't dislike Essex figures, but some of their poses just make me go, why did you guys do this? Nobody's ever in this position. And it's even more awkward when you have a ton of figures in that pose in your army. Because now you have a whole army of guys that you just happen to catch in a snapshot of an awkward position. Should have already gone through. What's the meaning of this? There we go. Yeah. Essex Lancers like that. Yeah, sometimes. I had a really bad taste in my mouth before I even started playing DBA about Essex. I bought a couple of Armati packs and Army things, and they just gave me all the wrong guys. And they make them. And they make all the wrong guys. I'm like, you gave me the wrong damn knights. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I'm not even going to pause it. I'm just going to turn off this mic. I'll be right back. Okay. Last guy from this pack. Last guy from this pack. Well, these guys have those neck protection, aventails, I think is what they're called. These guys ought to look pretty cool. Now, the theme we're going to have is each set of 3 is going to have their own shield pattern. And what's really amazing is how well these Old Glory guys and the Elaine Tulare guys match up. It's really amazing. And let's see how close we are to this. Sometimes I gotta turn this to make sure. Let's get this water out of the way so we don't have a spillage. Cleaning up shit's not on my to-do list today. Let's see if I can put this up against something so you can stand up. Okay, that is an Old Glory guy, of which there's several poses. And here is an Elaine Tulare guy, of which there's one pose. And these guys are totally compatible with each other. It's really quite amazing. Really quite amazing. The shield's a little softer on the two-layer guy. And as you know, I am a big fan of mixing figures for multiple reasons. You know, I like figure variety, poses and stuff like that. When I can have it, it's not absolutely necessary. Those two guys mix in perfectly. Now the guy that's a little odd, since we're on this kick, is this guy right here. I'll pull him out here for a second. This guy is a figure from Gladiator, and he's significantly larger. He actually has a bigger head too. And he also has softer type sculpting. So I pulled one of those guys out. I may put him on the command stand. Is he the guy that we're going to use as the banner bearer maybe? I'm not sure. I have an actual guy that can be the banner bearer. But we're going to cut this guy's lance off and put him as well. Because he's awfully hefty. He almost looks like he could be a hero. So maybe he hangs out with the general. So anyhow, we got all kinds of stuff in here. We've got museum miniature guys that are particularly small. These are the Seljuk Turks. I picked up a ton of these guys at Historicon for $1 a pack. And yes, even though they only have one pose, I think that they'll actually paint up really well. And I've got some old school Normans from tabletop. I may actually replace the lances on these guys. To be continued. Lances, spears. Are they lances only if they're couched? And if they're overhead, are they considered lances or are they considered spears? Maybe they're considered spears. Wow, mix is really good. Mostly used forged in battle compared to Essex and significantly larger. Yeah, forged in battle showed up too late. And it doesn't mean I don't like them. It just means I have too many other figures that are old school that I already have. That what am I going to do? Give them away? Sell them? Nobody's going to want to buy them. So from the pictures online, Forged in Battle are my jam. But they're very difficult to get a hold of here in the States. Oh, crap. This is the guy that doesn't do. They're very difficult to get here in the States. They're expensive. And I already have plenty of other figures. So it's kind of the same situation that Coruscant's in. Coruscant showed up too late. I already have too many figures that they also make that, you know, I'm not poo-pooing them. I'm just, you know, you guys should have started 15 years earlier. Then I wouldn't have any figures, and then I would go to theirs, you know. I actually like the style of the Forged in Battle are my thing. So, will I buy Forged in Battle? Yes, I'll probably buy Forged in Battle when I do my Goth morph. I got some leftover Goths from Old Glory. I have some leftover Goths. Well, I have the Gladiator ones, which are the Achman figures. And I'll probably get some Forged in Battle guys and mix them in. And, you know, have all kinds of different varieties for them. Goths meaning Visigoths, Vandals. I want to do an early Vandal list, a Visigoth list. And they're all going to look different. I'm not going to do the cheapskate way and use my Ostrogoth cavalry I already have as them. I will paint specific cavalry for all those armies because I'd like to have them all on the battlefield. There's a game that I played at Historicon 2007, and it was a big monster game, and it was on maybe a 10 by 20 table, and everybody had their own forces that they used. Everybody had a DBA sized army, and there was 3 Roman players and about 7 or 8 barbarian players that came in on the board. So if you imagine you had a big board like this, and it was a stylized map of Europe, so to speak, and you know, you would have different barbarians that would come on different parts of the board. So, you know, maybe you've got the Franks over here, and the Huns over here, and the Ostrogoths there, and the Visigoths there, and the Burgundians, Lombards, all that kind of stuff. Everybody's running their own tribe, so to speak. And there was 3 Roman players, and they kind of had to. Everybody got scored based on you got these little gold coins. That was your points, and you could trade them to other people for different things. Like, hey, I'll give you a gold coin if you help me do this, such and such. And ultimately, everybody was judged by how many gold coins they had. So it was kind of a coin grab, but there was no set rule of what you had to do, and it was just a fun, lighthearted game where everybody's playing DBA at the same time. So you have you have multiple people playing, and they're all playing at the same time. Nobody's sitting out waiting for their turn to happen, and it was pretty cool. It left a really nice taste in my mouth, and I would like to recreate that at some point, or something similar to that. And I'm always bitching about Warband, and I just can't. They're a hoot. I just don't want to count on. If the other guys got Warband too, then it's okay. I just don't want to bring them to an open and hope to God that they'll win. Although we had one of our players at the convention last weekend that actually won an open event with the Gauls, and they have a significant amount of Warband. So you have some Forge and Battle Marian Romans. You find them a bit flat. What do I think of the Viking Forge? They're all over the place. It varies. I feel pretty meh about Forged and Battle Sparbara, for example. But they're Mede Infantry or Cardasses. 10 out of 10 stuff. Yeah. So, I will get some. Ooh, now this guy's tricky. And I'll show you what's tricky about him. Look how his lance is. It's up here, no problem. Down here, no problem. But look how it runs beside... Oh, I can't. I got the flag in the way. Look how it runs beside the arm here through this section. That's going to be really, really tricky to do. All right. F it. Let's try it. I've got 5 other figures or so of this particular one. So we're going to cut here. He's got a thumb or whatever this past it. We're going to cut here. If anybody can do it, I can do it. This hobby's empowering. I'll look at people's stuff online, and there's people that are wizards out there. I don't do too bad, but there's some, I get ideas from other people. But I don't go like, man, I need to quit this hobby. This guy's stuff is too good. I'll be like, all right, if that guy can do it, I can do it. And sometimes you can contact the person and say, hey, what did you do for this? Or what did you do about that? I really like your figures. Most people I find are willing to tell you what tricks they did. I certainly am. I don't need to keep information from you guys. It's, if I found something that is helpful, the way I look at it is it may be something that keeps somebody from being frustrated and leaving the hobby. So I'm actually going to forget that guy's thumb's up there and just cut it flush. Oh, me thumb. All right, now comes the tricky part. And I may not be able to pull this off, but we'll see. I'm going to take this chunk off. Now we're going to do something different. We're going to... And now for something completely different. Let's go. See if I can pull this off. We're going to take a file. And we're going to file some of this off. The problem with the files is they're always too damn big. We're dealing with really, really small things. Let's file some of this off. And the girls are being loud over there. We've got some world entertainment going on. Daughter had a sleepover last night with she had her prom last night, and all the girls came and spent the night here, and they were really, really well behaved kids. Considering all the garbage you hear about how kids are terrible, these kids were really, really good. Really, really good. heard other parties where kids go and do drugs and get drunk and all kinds of shit. And these are good kids, so. Let's take some of this stuff off. See if this guy could be the Byzantine champion. Let's try this. Let's try this. We're going to put the whole, let's make sure we leave some meat around it. Let's put the whole back there. Oh, it's not lit. I do all my own sets. I wish I'd started doing this 10 years ago when I didn't have to take my glasses on and off every time. I always painted in 2020. And I just feel like, now the technology wasn't there. Let's try that. This is the other sculptor at Gladiator. There's several of them. People love Josef Achman's work, and some of the feudal figures are that stuff, but this is definitely not Josef Achman's work. It is someone else. They're quirky looking. They work, but they're quirky looking. I'll admit that. Yeah, this is going well so far, but let's keep it humble. Stay humble, you're gonna have to. Looks like we went through something. There we go. I think we did it. I think we did it. There we go. Awesome. All right. Are the lances here handy? Was it a Monty Python reference? I don't know what I said. It was a while ago. Probably. Cutting parts of metal is a pain. It's not bad. This isn't too bad. These things are a hit. I'll be buying more. I've only broken one. Look how many guys I did, and I've only broken one. Oh, stay humble. So, this is a better shitty Chinese factory that was making them than the other ones I have. Okay. Now we got a Byzantine hero. Got to come up with a name for him. I already have this guy. I don't know if Rick's watching this still, but I got a name for your favorite dude here. As soon as I find him. Where did he go? Here he is. That's Heraclonus, the hornblower. This guy's gonna look pretty cool. So, I'll have to find a horn sound for my phone, so when he goes into battle or something, I can play it. You know, something to be annoying. All right. Let's get some lances. These are like 12-foot lances, what these guys should have. So let's see what we have in the bag of lances here that kind of fits well with that. Let's adjust this a little bit so I've got some more operating room. This actually worked really well. Did I leave anybody on the command stand? I did. There's one guy left to do. Let's take him out as well. Let's go ahead and do him as well. Oh, okay. This is the flag bearer, and we didn't know if we were going to use him or not. All right, we don't have to do him just yet. Here's the general. This has got to be somebody like Manuel or something like that. Is he the only one with a? Oh, he's the only one with a cape. Yeah. And he gets the fully armored horse. Yeah. Let's go ahead and clean him up while we're at it. And then we'll pick out some lances for these guys. We're doing all the metal work today, I guess. We can clean that up a little bit better. And here's the banner bearer that is an Elaine two-layer guy, but he's very open-handed. His hand is very, very open. And that may actually be a problem down the road. I don't know yet. But that is the last stand that we do anyways, is the command stand. So, all right. Lance time. Love it. I figured you'd like them. Heraclonus, the hornblower. All right, I need about 16 lances. That's probably going to be my go-to, but let me see if there's other options, because I seem to use those guys all the time. Here's some other ones. And a lot of this stuff is really, really inexpensive. Like, for instance, these aren't even made in China. They're stainless steel, and they come with a cool container, and they're like $3. You know? Oh, I'm sorry. It's not stainless steel. It's nickel-plated steel. Well, that's good enough. What else? These are some super long ones. I don't like using brass. I ended up getting this brass rod. It's not worth a shit as far as I'm concerned, because at some point it will get bendy on you. And I don't want to have to repair things that I spent this much effort doing. I have a saying that I coined. It's just because you don't value my time doesn't mean I don't value my time. So, if I'm repairing things, I'm not creating new things. So that's not very useful. These girls were louder this morning than they were last night. All right. We've got our Mr. File here. Full of character. Full of caricature. All right, I think, let's compare these two. This is almost a pike length. I can tell you right now, this is way too long. We don't need to use this one. This is way too long. We're going to use these. The important thing is to make sure I don't use the last one, so I can go back and purchase some more of these things. Now these are sharp as hell. So, yeah, this is a little smaller. Okay, perfect. So let's put these big things away. Let's not drop them. I mean, they're nice. They give you little containers and stuff for them. And of course, this isn't, before we even do anything else, let's not tempt fate. Doesn't take much that's all you got to do. All you got to do is just round the thing off. And let's use an Old Glory guy, just for good measure. And let's run it through. I'm going to have to make it a little bit bigger. Or not. And I think, you lose a little bit of this when here's the spear for the spearmen. Yeah, these are significantly longer. All right, so let's, and I don't have anything in between them. I didn't cut those down any smaller. That's the size those are. So let me take the old nippers that are probably older than I am. These things are, as the old saying used to say in the 1980s, older than a crust in your underwear. Let's cut. That's going to be too long. Let's see if we got a standing guy. All right. And one of them about 12 foot long. So, I don't know. Let's cut him here. Let's cut it even with that. And we got to make sure that you want to sand this one too. File this one down because that's got some burrs it'll pierce your skin while we're fooling around with it. All right, well, let's see what this guy looks like. I think it's a little long. It's a little long for my taste. Let's cut it down a little bit. All right, so we're going to cut it off, and we're going to cut about that much off of it. Should do it in the garbage can. Whenever we don't live in this house, somebody in the future is going to be like, what the hell happened here? There's like static grass and bits of metal everywhere. What kind of a crime scene is this? All right. Yeah, I like this length. Whatever the hell length that is. It doesn't have to be exactly right, but that's about the right length. So it's about the length of these spearmen are about, it's even a little bit longer than these spearmen, so perfect. That's the length we're going to go with. It looks pretty good. What other poses do we have we have this guy that's doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Let's see what this length spear looks like with this dude. Okay, man, thanks for stopping by. Have a good day. Yeah, I think I like this length. Guys that have really long contos or whatever, they can have a longer one, but all right, so we need to cut a bunch of these down. Okay. And again, videoing this, what allows me to do is not to skimp out and quit in the middle of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I believe that's what I had. I had an extra guy in there. Okay, so this is the model that we're going to do. First thing, let's make sure we do not poke ourselves and draw blood on this side. We'll put them over here. There's one. It's one of the things people say, oh, you're using needles? You're using pins? Oh, you're going to kill yourself. They're not. You know? It's got to respect it. You got to do this or you're going to be, you know. The Romans, my Roman triarii are that way. They're my first troops I ever used that have pins in them. I've never drawn blood with them. never have to worry about it. Now, the only gripe I have about doing this is these are really, really smooth. So sometimes, if you're not using something like epoxy, they just won't super glue in. They're just too slippery. I'm not going to go and, hey, let's sand these. Let's sand the edge of... No, we ain't got time for that. That's just absurd. You can take things too far. And that would be one way to do that. Got to scoot. Have a good weekend. All right. Just glad I finally get to see you re-spearing live. I've always seemed to miss it. Well, it's about as exciting as watching paint dry, isn't it? People are paranoid about this all the time. They worry about it. And maybe I'm making it seem easy, but I've never really, other than the bits breaking, I've really never had an issue with it. It just takes some patience. You know, but I think everybody has some amount of patience. You know, like, I don't know how people have the patience to cook. You know, I think Rick probably can't understand that either. But, you know, if this takes a long time, it takes a long time. You're steady doing it. It's not like all of a sudden you wake up and, you know, all your figures are unpainted. Let's see if we can. I guess I should do this over here. And it just has to be close. So I don't know if we can get it any closer than that. But I am going to still use the original. I want to make sure we don't use a different one other than the original. Because otherwise, if you start using the one I just cut, eventually they're going to vary in size, and you'll have one that's short and one of them that's long and at the end of the process. And you'll be like, what the hell happened here? And it's not that these pens are expensive, which they're not. It's just, I don't need to go to Joann's right now. Well, I got this so long. I don't know if it's Joann's, Michael's, something like that. You know, one of those stores where it's all a bunch of old ladies except me. Essex spears pretty sharp. Huh? I don't think so. Some of them have rounded ends. Essex spears just quickly turn into... Essex spears and lances quickly turn into spaghetti things. You know, and you'll see people trying to sell, you know, hey, here's these pikemen, and they have all these spaghetti bent things. I'm like, who's going to buy that? Well, somebody did. Yep. Folding clothes. Folding clothes takes patience to fold clothes. Okay, this is the original. I'm sure these clippers are older than I am. They were my dad's and they got confiscated. And I guarantee they weren't made in China. Guaranteed they were not. Because they probably predate Nixon's deal with Mao. Guaranteed they do. Same thing with this file. This file is older than dirt. It's actually wise I went ahead and did this. Now that I can make noise, because I don't want to be making this sound at 5:30 in the morning. I guarantee my wife will hear it. She'll hear a fart, she'll hear a fly fart across the street. I will too if it's a low sound. If it's a high sound like this, nah. You make Chinese music with it. I know they're made in China. You make Chinese music with them. Not to brag, but this is going really well. Oh shit, I noticed. We're done for now. Yeah, some people like brass rod. Brass rod's too bendy. Things are going to go sideways. Getting there. Dun, 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 dun. Zyston wire spears. I've never been able to buy them. They're always out of stock. They look beautiful. I can see that they're sharp because they've got a nice leaf shape to them. And they're always out. You probably dissuaded me from ever buying any, though. We don't need to be injured. I'm not sure what material they're made out of. Are they made out of brass? No, that one didn't fall in the right place. I don't want to be making this sound at 5:30 in the morning. have to use the little boys' room after we're done with these last three. I drink so many liquids. Unfortunately, it's just so easy to grab a soda. Trying to be better about that. Gotten to the point where I don't even get a soda if I go out somewhere to a restaurant. It just got too expensive. They got too expensive and they don't bring you refills, you know. And I've actually been to a place and had like freaking 7 sodas refill. Now it's like, you know, it's like pulling teeth to get anything, so I don't really want to spend almost $3 on a drink and get one, because that's just dumb. And no, it's not regular soda. I'd rather have all those. I'd rather have all the contaminants that keep me petrified. Jeez. I think that was the last one. But everybody's got a bad habit. That's mine, I guess. I don't drink that much. It's just easy here while I'm online with you guys. It's better than smoking or doing drugs. All right. Now, let's grab these hitchhikers that we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody else not make it in? 4. All right, I'll be right back. All right, a little bit of a sidetrack there. A little bit of a snack. Looked like steel to me. That's brutal. Well, if they're steel, maybe you can file them down some. I've seen them. They have a two-dimensional leaf. They're really nice looking. They're relatively expensive, but that's not why I haven't gotten them. I haven't gotten them because they're always out. And I think I've seen them a couple times. Like maybe one of the vendors had them at Historicon or something like that. But I'm used to using needles and stuff like that. And I paint a fake tip on them, and I'm okay, you know. This is what I've got mixed feelings on, though. These 2-layer Spearmen that are going to be on the back rank of the 8 Bowmen, I don't know. I may end up replacing those. I may end up popping those off and putting a real spear. To be determined, especially since the spears were so damn easy to do. I mean, well, this is easy. It took time, but it was easy. I got one guy left to do. You're gonna do it right. Do it right or don't do it. Really unsatisfying to do shit wrong. And the reality is, you probably work with a lot of people that go out of their way to do things wrong. So you don't need to relive that on a weekend. Now, the nice thing is, most riders, I think, come with a built-in saddle. Essex don't. And to be honest with you, you can probably replace everybody. It is easier to replace a figure. Whoop. It is easier to replace a figure that has the saddle on them like this one than one of the other ones, because there's very rare exceptions, and I mix all kinds of horses. There's been very rare exceptions I have found that I want to put a figure that does not have a saddle on them. And I end up putting it like on an Old Glory horse that has like extra space there that a saddle would take up. That rarely happens. So they're really, I mean, you could put this guy at an Essex horse. I don't know why you'd want to, because I'm not a big fan of Essex horses to begin with. And what I found recently in doing my Wallachians is they have very minimalist bases on the bottom where I've almost bent one of the figures out. The horse is weak ankled because of that. So I don't like weak ankled horses. This should slide right through there just fine. It's a little tight. Good. Because what we'll do when I put epoxy down, I put a little dab, depending on which way I'm pushing it. If I'm pushing it down, I put a little dab here on top, and then I push this through, and then I put a little dab above and below it. And then as it's drying, I try to take some of that off so that you kind of almost use it like caulk. Just kind of hold it in place. Because this is super slippery. All right. Off to brunch with the fam. Talk to you all later. Okay, Rick. Make sure you get a large drink. Brunch. I guess it's 11:15. That's lunchtime for me. I'd have to do brunch like at 10. 9:30. My breakfast is normally at 5 a.m. Lunch at 11. Dinner as soon as I can. I don't like to eat late. All right, let's epoxy some spears down. Let's switch to epoxy. Cardboard. It looks like it's been gnawed on by a huge rat. Problems we don't have in the South. We don't have huge rats. You know why? The roaches eat them. Roaches are so big to eat rats. Roaches. Roaches is probably an accurate calling. It sounds like they're in your house. They get in your house because of food issues. No, they get in your house because there's millions outside. Billions. Probably more than billions. Okay, this is all of the lances for those guys. I'm leaving them this long, Jared, and good morning to you, or good afternoon, or good evening. I think where you're at, it's good evening. This is not, so these are the lances for the horses, not the lances for the spears. The lances for the spears are like 8-footers. So the lances for the spears look like, we did these the other day, or like this. He's holding it up pretty high, and the lances for the horse longer. Realistically, these could probably work for both, but we're gonna lances for the horses go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 8 right here, and I should have 8 of these over here. And they're already filed on the back side, so I don't prick myself. In some ways, the back of the spear that you cut is more dangerous than the tip. In some ways. It can get like under your skin, and it's only happened a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 8th one there. Right. We're not going to try to do batches of all of them. That's just impractical. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to leave the lances for later because we're not going to work on the cavalry yet. Because the one big thing is I haven't decided what kind of horses some of these guys are going to be on. If some of them are going to be on half-armored horses or they're all going to be completely unarmored. I haven't decided that yet. A mix, you know. I don't want to get analysis paralysis. And the reality is I got to do the rest of the army before I got to worry about that. So let's get our big needle. It's around here somewhere. That's what I've been using lately to mix the epoxy, and I've been pretty happy with it because it's totally reusable and it's also precise. And this is actually what I would use if I was doing like Macedonians. I would do something along, you know, well, not quite so long. We'll take the little thing off, but the Macedonians would be pretty long. One of these days I'm going to get around to doing Pyrrhus's army. That's on my to-do list. Hey, Tony's Troopers. Well, that's another name for the channel. I guess we could do that. Good morning, Mr. Patriot. Haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully you're doing well. Okay, let's grab epoxy. I've had this stuff like 15 years and it's working too well. I have used not even 20%. I really don't know. I think it builds itself back up. It's self-creating. Oh, this is the stinky one. And it's not that it smells so bad. It's that it's very unusual these days with all the acrylic paints and their stuff there is like that for you to use a hobby product that that has a smell to it, that has any smell to it at all, much less a pungent one or a very strong one. So it kind of catches you off guard when you pull something out like this. Let that set a little bit and see who said what. Been on mission in Dayton, Ohio. Okay. Hopefully it was successful. Some people be like, ooh, what mission was it? I'm not that nosy. I don't have that kind of clearance. Actually, I probably do have that kind of clearance. I'm just not that nosy. Is it hard to get into the Pentagon? I got into the Pentagon. I have Pentagon clearance. Or they didn't think I was a threat. You know why? Because I'm not. All right, we're going to put a little dab here. We're going to put a little dab here. And then we're going to slide this thing through. And I may have to mix up more epoxy because this is kind of, I don't know about time consuming, but it's kind of precise. And we're going to dab a little bit on the end. All right, and then we're going to slide this booger through. It'll set there. And then we're going to take some more of this. This is probably more anal retentive than some people would be. But you know what? I've never had to replace one of these. And there he is. Armenian Spearmen. So, I'm probably going, let's just do the guys all in that pose. Two, just two guys in that pose. Two more guys in that pose, I should say. This guy's open-handed. This is the hand that we had a problem with. Of all the hands that we had a problem with, all the issues, this was the one that was the biggest one. So we'll leave him for last because that way his epoxy's a little harder. DOD Army. Yep, Department of Defense. Well, thank you for your service. I'm glad you're doing it and not me. I've had a couple dreams in the last month, or 2 months, where I have shipped off for boot camp, or a buddy of mine's renewing. And there's a friend of mine who was in the Army for a long time. He's very nomadic because of that. And I had a dream that I re-upped instead of him. So here I am shipping off the boot camp. Let's just say I was glad to awaken and happy to go to work that day. I can't think of a bigger hell than that. Now, there are worse things, but... And I almost made it in. I was on my way out to boot camp, and I got... my boot camp got revoked back in 1992, I think is when it was. So, didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and you know what? It turned out okay. But at the time, I didn't know what was going to happen. I had a buddy of mine in high school that was going into the Navy, and I'm like, okay, I could do that. And... military life wouldn't have worked well with me. I wouldn't have. I have trust issues, and I like to question things without being somebody who's a rebel. I don't consider myself a rebel, but I do consider somebody who's born with a, I like to question things. I've my doubt, especially, it wouldn't have worked out. So, hey, you need to be happy with how things turned out because that's how they turned out, but yeah, I never find out what happened to a buddy of mine that went in. I guess he turned out okay. The guy I went to high school with. Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it's not a good reason. I think in this case it was. Oh, now you're speaking code. Civilian GS-12. Remember? I don't know what that is. Although somebody reminded me. Who was it? Who was it that reminded me of? Was it at this convention? Yeah, it was this convention last year. It came up again. And it was funny because I rarely think about it. I rarely think about my enlistment. I got disqualified because of my psoriasis. Actually, they didn't want somebody of Cuban descent in the Navy because I could freaking outswim the ships. They were just jealous. It all worked out okay, but that came up recent. I think it came up this last weekend, and one of the guys asked me. I said, "Well, did you swear in?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I swore in." I said, "What did that swear in get you?" And I forgot what it was. We had some funny thing or whatever, but it all worked out okay. But yeah, my wife's best friend growing up lives outside of Virginia. And her husband was in the Navy, and he worked out of the Pentagon or something like that. So like 3 years ago, he's like, "Hey, when you come visit us, you want to go to the Pentagon?" I'm like, "Heck yeah!" And that was super cool. But I really want to see, I'll never be, well, I won't be able to know this, but I want to see what they were able to pull up on my record, because I'm sure they pulled up on my thing. I don't have anything on my record that I need to be worried about. As I like to say, my record's better than the people who's checking records. But just out of curiosity, what is it that they have access to? Oh, I see. This guy could put it at the bottom, or I could put it up here. I was cutting a little notch to put him up like this, because the actual figure was original was like this, but I guess I could rest it here on the bottom too. But then it's going to look like a really short spear. Yeah, but kind of looks better with those guys. Let me think about that. Right, punt. Go to the other pose. There's 3 of those. Let's see. Well, this guy's definitely resting there. All right, let's go ahead and take care of this guy. I'm curious what they pull up on your record. But I was actually surprised how much freedom there was to walk around that place. I was, I'm not going to misbehave. And it's probably why they let me in. They're like, "Oh, this guy's 40 how long? And he's good. If not, we'll murder his sponsor. We'll make his life miserable." But I thought it was pretty neat. But honestly, the public probably shouldn't be allowed to go. It just seems a little bit too much. I don't want to talk about anything that I saw in there because you never know who's listening. But it was pretty cool, really pretty cool. General Services 12 is a pay grade of government employee. I don't know anything about a government employee. PWS, that's major equivalent. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I do not work for the government directly. I guess we all do to some degree, but I don't think that would have been a good fit for me. I am all for getting stuff done. I am not somebody I am a results-driven person. So I'm like, okay, what do you need done? Not, well, we got to do it this way. I'm like, no. What do you want done? So I'm not a big fan of protocol and just because. So, hey, it's a good thing I feel that way because it didn't work out. I think I would have enjoyed a lot of the people that I met because I went to, what is it you call, MEPS 3 times, and everybody I met there was cool. But, am I going to rest this guy on the bottom? Oh, this pose may be a problem. I'm going to have to put him on the back of the stand so that he doesn't stick out and poke the guy in front of him. Do I want to rest this guy here, or do I want to rest him on the other thing? Let's rest it so it's higher. F it. I better hurry. I'm going to have to mix epoxy for one dude. And that's just stupid. Howdy now. Don't choke on that thing. That's not going to be pretty. Yeah, it's curing fast as a mother. All right. Spears aren't as long as a lot of miniature manufacturers make them. How about those javelins that frickin' that Minifigs makes? They're like frickin' 15 feet long. I mean, to scale, they'd be 3 millimeters per foot, so maybe an inch at most. Yep. Okay, so these are the 8 Spearmen, and these are probably going to all have the same shield per unit. So they're not going to be dressed the same, but the same shield will be on 4, and the same shield will be on the other one. And it's some variation with some kind of Armenian type cross. I don't think I'm going to make them. I got some ideas. I'm pretty sure how I'm going to do them. So this is the Spearmen there for those guys. So we'll let that dry. And then we'll get one of our dime bags. Is that what these things are called? Me using drug terminology. Yeah, that's funny. Because I don't know shit. That'd be like Mother Teresa talking about prostitution. Hey, you didn't think Mother Teresa was going to come up in today's conversation? You never know here. Let's take all these things, all these lances, and let's put them in here. And then let's take all these guys, and not the horses, and put them in here. You love those flags. Oh, down there in the corner? Yeah. Main one's going to look something like that. For the Komnenan army, anyways. The Constantinian won't, because it'll be the emperor. The Emperor will have his own little standard. This guy right here. So that's going to be a really cool stand. That's going to be a really cool stand. We'll have him on there. Going to have Heraclonus, the hornblower. Going to have 1, 2. I didn't replace these spearmen either. Oh, this is not one of the right ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, missing one. Where is the last one? He's here somewhere. There's 4 of them. Here he is. 4 Old Glory Spearmen. And of course the Emperor in the middle. With peacock feathers. So his tuft at the top of his helmet is going to be green and look like peacock feathers. That's the attempt to do that. Is that everybody that's on here? I think so. I think that's everybody that's on here. So this is going to be on a 40 by 40 stand, a stand this big. So it's going to be rather crowded. Medicinal miniature Dimeback. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's for medicinal purposes. I don't know shit. I like to say, I learn everything I know about drugs I learned from watching Narcos Mexico. I don't know shit about drugs. And I'm rather proud of it, actually. So. I do have a fear of, a slight, maybe irrational fear that I'm going to go to some party, because I go to so many. And somebody's going to slip me drugs. And I won't be able to tell them that, I'm 51 years old and never done drugs before. And then I'm going to be like, well, what am I going to do to that person? Am I going to commit a crime that's going to end that person's life? I don't know. Don't take my drug virginity away from me. I only run guns and liquors, folks. If only. I don't know if I'm going to end up replacing these Normans. Now, these are some silly-ass old-school Normans, and they have an extremely large blade or point at the front of their lance, spear, whatever. It looks pretty durable. I don't think I'm gonna replace them. They look okay. I may actually sub this guy out. Let's see if you guys can get a better look at this guy. This guy's a guy who's got a hell of a beard. This is kind of a shitty casting, and I may save this guy for my feudal Scots, because he definitely has a Scot look about him, and not because he's a shitty casting, just his face. I don't have anything. The only thing shitty about Scots is their food. Oh, sorry, I went there. But really looking forward to building that army and do some creative. They're gonna be as much fun as my Irish. I enjoy making these guys that are just they're just not exciting looking, kind of show up on whatever you were wearing every day type of wear, and then making them look really interesting. Big fan of that. CSI DBA Jacksonville. All right. Okay, so let's put this stuff away. Let's shift again. Let's put all these. So these were a hit. These were a hit. I can recommend these. Where are they? You can get these at what's the name of that damn place? Harbor Freight. High speed. Just don't ask anybody there for help because they won't have a clue. But that's every store these days. And it's 30 piece. It has a lot of drill bits I don't need, but it has lots of little ones, and they're okay. And this was like $2.99, and you know where it's made. You can't get drill bits that aren't made in it. You can't get drill bits that aren't made in that place anyway. So I make an attempt to try to get stuff not made there, but we do have to move forward. missed a few. Man, this is a creaky ass chair. So the other drill bit set, which is this one, this was actually more. This is some carbide shit in it forever, but I don't have a shank that it works on. So instead of buying, yeah, you like that beard, huh? It is a hell of a beard. It is. I figure if I use him as a Scots, I can make a red beard. He'd be really exciting. We'll have to give him a name and everything. Maybe even a dog too, to go with him. It could be Odago. It's just spelled different. Dogough. Odago. Oh. I think I'm going to return these. These were like $8, which is still, you know, cheap, but 1/8" shank size. I don't have a knick-knack that it works on. I don't have a pin vise. That's too big a shank. All right. Let's put this thing back, and let's pull out the Saloy we were working on. Thanks for you guys hanging out with me. Appreciate it. Hopefully, well, obviously this is of some use to some of you, or you wouldn't be hanging out. Even if it's crappy entertainment. All right, where's the magic drippings? As I like to call them. Push this stuff out of the way. Yeah, so how long have we been on? 2 hours and 10 minutes. I got a lot done, but it takes time, you know. It's not like you can just throw all this stuff together and... Okay, that's right. We were painting this guy's face, and this guy wasn't a winner in the face department. All right, so we got some of that color there already. We're gonna need some fine detail face painting stuff. So let's get rid of these files. Let's get rid of this. Let's move this epoxy thing out of the way. We'll wait for it to dry and then we can reuse it. Get rid of all these medicinal bags. Always a pleasure hanging out with Senor Aguilar. Yeah, that's how you say my name, Aguilar. But nobody can say it, so I just go with Aguilar. It's the right, wrong way to say my name. I had a history teacher in college. Remember, in college I took history as electives. And he would give you the answers. You know, you'd go over your test, and he would give you the correct answer, and he would also give you the correct wrong answer. So the answer that's almost right, but not nearly quite, hey, look, it rhymed. And that kind of stuck in my mind, that he'd give you the right, wrong answer. Okay, I think we have enough winners here. So we can find some brushes that aren't made in China, but we can't find any drill bits that aren't made in China. So, you know, we do what we can with what we have. And it's not a cost issue. Like, I'll pay more for them, you know. It's great if they're made in the U.S., but, you know, they don't have to be. They can be made in our friends all over the world. Or, you know, how about not our enemies, you know. It's not too much to ask, you know. I don't think it's too much to ask. All right. Let's do the face mix. Ooh, this is getting kind of dryish. I think I put these colors down, never did anything with them. So let's put the red here. A little bit of black. Yeah, I'm always beating the don't buy shit in China thing. And you know, ever since I've been doing that, my Chinese armies don't perform worth a damn for me in the battlefield. It's nothing about, you know, Chinese armies. I like the Chinese history, just, you know, the current folks in that place. But I guess if I have to stop talking about China for my Chinese armies to do better, I guess my Chinese armies will just do like shit from now on. Hey, I could build other people's armies. Just a game. Now, unfortunately, this is the sculptor that decided to create these huge bug eyes on these people. And because they're huge and bug-eyed, I have to paint some of it. I have to paint some of it. I thought it would have been the other way around. American steel, but Chinese polyester. Really surprises me. Yeah. Yeah. Is polyester made here? I get excited when I find something that's made somewhere unusual. You know, like... And there's no reason for it. You know, there's no reason for it. Because here's the example I'm going to use, okay? And it's right in front of me. All of the cheapest paints available, these folk art, Americana, Craft Smart, all these, we'll call them shit paint, okay? They're all made in the U.S. And they're like the cheapest freaking thing. So you can make cheap stuff here. I should say, you can make things that are inexpensive here. You know, it just not paintbrushes. It's not drill bits. It's not, you know, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So it's not like we can't make an item that costs 79 cents because we can't pay the weight. Well, somebody is, you know. All right. So, anyways, back to Captain Bug Eyes here. Let's get some live white. Put it on here, and let's paint his eyes and see what we can do with it. Jared Heine, you're out in the land of Oz, aren't you? Yeah. What? Can't we make shit in Australia? I know, as a population, Australia isn't what I thought it was. I thought it was a lot higher. It's not that many. But just start filling up the desert with factories. Nah. We don't want to do that either. Don't want to make the world ugly. But oh, make it a mess. Yeah, so you can make, you know, all the cheap dollar store paint, you know, which is, it's okay for like terrain and stuff. I wouldn't want to use it on this stuff because it behaves oddly. It's definitely cheap stuff. It's inexpensive, and it's made here in the U.S. So awfully strange. Awfully strange. Take black. And what I found that works the best if I have to put eyes on, and my preference is actually to not give them eyes, but when you make them so darn big, you have to, is, you know, you paint the white and then you do a vertical line where this is. That looks like it might be okay. Like I said, my preference is not to paint the eyes at all. But when you give them like this bulging thing, you have to. You know, you don't have a choice. Yep, probably the same excuse as they give for the U.S. Wages are too high for manufacturing. Yeah. Well, if we'd support internal manufacturing, it wouldn't be too expensive for long. We're a country of boundless resources. We shouldn't have to rely on the PRC. Yeah. Here ends the rant. That's right. There's nefariousness going on, and we just don't know it. It's the only thing that makes sense. Okay. So I get excited when I see something made in France or Italy or, you know. It's become such an exception to the rule. Now, this guy's got a beard, and it's really throwing me off because I overpainted some of the face onto the beard. So I'm going to go ahead and correct that because it's distracting me. There we go. This guy's looking a bit like an ape in a monkey suit. Or a person in a monkey suit. An ape in a monkey suit. That's a double helping of monkey. I play Wei Chi, and I can see the PRC subverting America's economy too. That is some weird shit. There's definitely some weird shit going on, Paul. There's definitely some weird shit going on. There's stuff going on that I wouldn't do. Let's put it that way. But then again, I'm not very corruptible. I don't need money that badly. I don't hate to sound like a... But fortunately... Boy, I'm obsessed with painting over into this area that isn't. It's such a weird looking figure. Old Glory sometimes is that way. I was just talking to Mitch about it yesterday. Imagine if my hero, Dave Alsop, was still sculpting figures for Old Glory. How awesome they would look. I don't know if he would have done the ancients and medievals, but just imagine if he did. I mean, it would be like incredible. Love that man's work. Try to do like Tony Shop with a conscience. Yeah, it doesn't cost anything to look. You know, it's like, you know, I don't want to buy things at Walmart. If I'm in the middle of the desert and I need a part or I can't get out of it, yeah, I will. But, you know, I look at alternatives. If there's stores you guys don't like, go to a different store, you know, and it could be for whatever reason that you want to. It's a free country, you know. I go to Starbucks. Some people don't like Starbucks. I don't have a problem with it. They have a product that you can pour in a graveyard, and the zombies wake up. That's why I get it. You know, I don't necessarily agree with some of the choices that they do, but you know, just and same thing. You don't need to poo-poo somebody just because they make different choices than you do. You know, they have their reasons for doing so. You know, that's why options are good. They're good for the consumer. The consumer wins. I kind of shudder every time that there's another merger or a conglomeration, and there's this company buys this one, and now there's less choices for the consumer. That's not good. Competition's good for us. You know, it keeps people honest and try to better yourself and create a better product for everybody. So monopoly's bad. But at the same time, I can't be like, well, I guess I won't be able to use any drill bits. You know, you just have to like, and admit, hey, I did the best I could. I couldn't find any drill bits that weren't, you know, made where I wanted them to be. So, you know, but I don't buy things based on cost. I mean, you know, if these drill bits that were like $3, I mean, if they had been, I don't know, 12, I would have, and they were made, you know, here, I'd buy the $12 drill bits. I mean, you know, fortunately, I'm able to do that. I don't want to brag, but I'm just saying I don't buy that much stuff all the time anyways. I try to be kind of frugal so that when you do have to spend your money, you don't like, you know, you can't buy everything all the time. I just went to a con this last weekend, and the only thing I bought was some more Tufts. I spent very little money because I don't need it. You know, I don't need to, you know, just keep buying and buying and buying stuff. I learn from my previous mistakes and other people's mistakes. And you'll see somebody that goes to the flea market, and I'm wondering, how in the hell did this person buy this many things that they no longer want? You know? So I don't want to be that person. I've been that person. I've bought things I've never used. It's really unsatisfying. It's a really unsatisfying feeling. If that makes me frugal, well, you know, I've been hard up before and not had a vehicle, and you know, it was many years ago, fortunately. So you know, I know what it's like not to have things. So you know, I like to. I don't want to just throw money around like there's no end to it. Make sure you need something before you order it. Like an ape man looking dude, man. This is one ugly dude. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. The girls left, so it's quiet. Nah, they were all right. My wife's like, you know, the girls are coming over. I was hoping they're not too loud. I said, it's fine. Just don't play any music that YouTube's going to have a problem with for licensing, and I get in trouble without wanting to. True story. It's happened. Um, I'm going to give. This is one ugly ass dude. Freaking ape looking dude. sure I'll be able to fix them up more, but it's a weird ass casting. Let's see. I just gotta show you guys what this looks like. Alright, let's zoom in on them. Oh, wrong way. Oh, it's always the wrong way. No, it's this way. And you're a serious ape-looking dude. He's got his mouth on him like... He's, what was that Olympic girl? Michaela? What was it? Whatever her last name was? Yeah, giving them the unsatisfied look. What a weird looking dude. All right, so we're going to do his ape beard. Hey, he looks like a guy that's never shaved in his life. Anyhow, we'll do the best we can with him. Poor inbred bastard. Well, the zoom works pretty well. Looks a little bit more washed out than it does in real life, but you get the gist of it. You have been better painting him as a garden gnome. Yeah, a little bit of that. A really tall garden gnome. A really tall garden gnome. Yeah, poor bastard. It's still a better casting than I would have sculpted. You know, I don't want to knock the sculptor too much. It's a, you know, I value the... Well, I don't need to kiss his ass either. I mean, it's just... That's not one of his best works. Oh, man. We're going to go with Flat Earth for his beard hair. A bloody garden gnome. He's got that dunce cap, you know. It's like, these guys are, you know... How are the moles made? Couldn't they see them for detail? Yeah, I don't know. I think they're individual sculptings. It's, you know... Now they got all that 3D printing where you could do them like with CAD and stuff like that. That seems like the way to go if you could do that. What happened to the brush that I had in my hand? Don't tell me I dropped it in here. No? Here it is. Jeez. I keep myself on a short leash. This is already... I see there's plenty of moisture here. Alright, let's add some black to this. We're going to have to use this fine tip for this. For the beard and stuff. We don't want to go ahead and get this on an area that we've already supposedly finished. And have to rehash something that's already been taken care of. Jeez, this guy's got a heavier beard than Wolverine. He looks like those damn guys off that commercial, those cavemen. Constantinian caveman. Ugh. Poor bastard looks like a gamer. Oh, man. I think we're going to need to add a little bit of blonde in them to get something to pop out. Let's get some yellow out here. Poor bastard looks like a gamer. Well, 'tis 3 in the morning. Must get some sleep so I can DBA at the club today. Awesome. Good luck, Jared. Take some pictures. Take some pictures, man. Be well. Enjoy tomorrow. Or actually later today. If I stayed up till 3 in the morning, I'd be dead. Your 3 in the morning is my midnight. No. And I was up late till midnight yesterday, so I may have to take a nap myself. And I think on that note, I'm probably going to... So it's got to be like 3 hours now. Nah, 2.5 hours. So we'll be on again in the morning at our normal scheduled paint time. And we'll catch you guys then. All right. So until next time,